My sister got a car for her 16th birthday. I got a bus pass and a lecture about earning my way. I earned my way. Right out of their lives. She can't drive herself out of debt now. Hey Reddit, buckle up because this is going to be a long one. And before you ask, yes, this is real. I know it sounds like something out of a bad TV movie, but this is just how my family operates. Operated, I should say. So I'm 28 now, and this story starts when I was 16. That's when I learned exactly where I ranked in the family hierarchy. Spoiler alert, it wasn't first place. Let me set the scene. I grew up in a pretty average suburban household. 2 parents, 2 kids, decent neighborhood, the whole American dream package. On paper, we looked like any other normal family. But behind closed doors, there was this quiet understanding that my little sister Kelsey was the golden child. And I was there too. I'm the oldest by 3 years, which in most families means you get certain privileges that come with being first. Not in mine. In my house, being older just meant I got to watch Kelsey get everything I didn't, with the added bonus of being told I should be grateful for the life lessons that came from getting screwed over. Growing up, I noticed the pattern, but didn't really understand it yet. Kelsey got the bigger bedroom when we moved into our house. I got the one facing the street that was loud as hell every morning when traffic picked up. When I asked why, my dad said something about me being older and more mature, so I could handle the noise better. Real convenient logic there, Dad. The bedroom thing was just the beginning. When I wanted to join the baseball team freshman year, my parents said I'd have to pay for my own equipment and fees. Too expensive for the family budget, they said. 2 years later, Kelsey wanted to join competitive dance. My parents paid for everything. The classes, the costumes, the competition fees, the travel cost to out-of-state competitions. When I pointed out the double standard, my mom said dance was really important to Kelsey's development, while baseball was just a sport. Christmas was another joke. I'd get practical gifts, socks, school supplies, maybe a $50 gift card if I was lucky. Kelsey would get the latest phone, brand name clothes, whatever electronics she'd been wanting. My parents would say I was older and didn't need as much, or that I was harder to shop for. Translation, we don't care enough to try. Kelsey got a laptop for middle school because she needed it for her classes. I had used the family desktop in the kitchen until I was 17 and saved up enough to buy my own used laptop from a kid at school. My parents said it would teach me the value of money and hard work. Funny how Kelsey never needed those particular life lessons. When report cards came out, I'd bring home straight A's and get a good job, keep it up, from my parents. Kelsey would bring home B's and C's and get taken out to her favorite restaurant to celebrate her improvement and effort. Meanwhile, I could improve from a 98 to a 99 in a class, and it would go completely unnoticed. No dinner, no acknowledgement, just the expectation that excellence was my baseline. I stopped showing them my report cards after sophomore year. Nobody noticed, literally nobody. Not for the rest of high school. I could have been failing every class, and they wouldn't have known because they never asked. But they tracked Kelsey's grades like her academic performance was a competitive sport they'd bet money on. But the real wake-up call, the moment that crystallized everything, came 2 weeks before my 16th birthday. I'd been dropping hints about getting a car. Not even a new one, just something reliable that could get me to school and my part-time job at the grocery store. I'd been saving money from work specifically to help with insurance and gas. I had it all planned out in my head. I'd even researched which used cars were most reliable and affordable. My birthday fell on a Saturday. My parents took me to breakfast at this diner we used to go to sometimes. Halfway through, my dad slid an envelope across the table with this weird, proud smile on his face. I opened it expecting car keys, or maybe a certificate for driving lessons. Instead, I found a bus pass, a monthly city bus pass, and a printed-out schedule of bus routes. I just stared at it for a second, thinking it was a joke, like the real present was coming later. But my parents were looking at me with these expectant faces, waiting for me to thank them. A bus pass, I said, not even as a question, just stating the obvious. My mom nodded enthusiastically. We know you wanted transportation independence, and this is perfect. You can get anywhere in the city now. It's actually more environmentally friendly than driving, my dad added, like he was doing me some huge favor. Plus, it'll teach you responsibility and time management. You'll have to plan your routes and leave early enough to make connections. I looked between them, waiting for the punchline. It never came. Most kids your age don't get cars handed to them, my mom continued, her voice taking on that lecturing tone I'd grown to hate. Your father and I believe in earning your way in life, not having everything given to you. This is a much more valuable lesson than just buying you a car. The kicker? My dad had literally been gifted his first car by his parents when he turned 16. A cherry red Mustang that he still talked about at family gatherings. But somehow that didn't count when it came to teaching me about earning my way. I thank them because that's what you do when you're 16 and still think your parents might come around if you're just grateful enough. I use that bus pass every single day. I left an hour early for my 4-hour shifts at the grocery store. I stood in the rain waiting for transfers. I studied on the bus, did homework standing up while holding the overhead rail, and missed countless hangouts with friends because the buses stopped running early on weekends. And you know what? They were right about one thing. It did teach me something, just not what they thought. It taught me that I was on my own. Fast forward 3 years. I'm 19, working full-time while going to community college, because I couldn't afford anything else even with my part-time scholarships. I'd moved out at 18 into a tiny studio apartment that was basically a closet with delusions of grandeur, but it was mine. Kelsey had just turned 16. I got a text from my mom asking me to come to dinner that Saturday. Family dinner, she called it. I should have known something was up. My parents only organized family dinners when they wanted something, or when they were about to make an announcement that would somehow screw me over. This time, it was the latter. I showed up at 6. The smell of pot roast hit me when I walked in. My dad's specialty that he only made for special occasions. Red flag number 2. We sat down to eat, and the conversation was weirdly normal for the first 20 minutes. My parents asked about school and work. Kelsey talked about her friends. Nobody mentioned anything unusual. I was starting to relax, thinking maybe this was just an actual normal family dinner. Then my dad cleared his throat in that way he does when he's about to say something he thinks is profound. So Kelsey's birthday is coming up, he started. Like I didn't know my own sister's birthday. And your mother and I have been talking. 16 is a big milestone. I nodded, taking another bite of pot roast, waiting for wherever this was going. We've decided to get her a car, my mom said, smiling at Kelsey like she'd just announced her daughter won the Nobel Prize. I stopped chewing. A car, I repeated after I swallowed. My voice came out flatter than I intended. A Toyota Camry, my dad said proudly. 2015 model. Very reliable. Safe. Good on gas. We found a great deal through a friend of a friend. Kelsey was practically bouncing in her seat. It's silver, and it's so pretty. And I already picked out seat covers and... That's great. I cut her off, looking at my parents. Really great. My mom must have caught something in my tone because she jumped in quickly with, "We know you might have some feelings about this, given your situation when you turn 16. But Kelsey needs a car for her activities. She's on the dance team, and she has rehearsals and competitions. And it's just not practical for us to keep driving her everywhere." Right. Because the city bus system that was good enough for me to get to work somehow wasn't practical for Kelsey's dance rehearsals. You had the bus, my dad added, like he was making some brilliant point. That worked fine for you. Different kids have different needs. I wanted to flip the table. I wanted to ask them if they heard themselves. I wanted to point out every single double standard, every time they'd chosen Kelsey over me, every excuse they'd made for why she deserved more. Instead, I finished my pot roast in silence, said congratulations to Kelsey, and left right after dinner. I had an early shift the next morning anyway, and I needed to catch the last bus back to my side of town. 2 weeks later, I saw the photos on social media. Kelsey posing with her silver Camry, huge bow on top, my parents on either side of her grinning like they'd just changed the world. The caption was something about dreams coming true and the best parents ever. I didn't comment. Didn't like it. Just closed the app and went back to studying for my economics midterm. That was the moment something shifted in me. I stopped expecting anything from them. Stopped hoping they'd notice the inequality. Stopped trying to prove I was worth the same treatment as Kelsey. I just focused on getting out and getting ahead. I worked 40 hours a week while taking a full course load. I survived on ramen and day-old bakery items I got discounted from the grocery store. My manager there took pity on me and would let me take home the stuff that was about to be thrown out. I ate a lot of stale bagels and questionable donuts that year. My schedule was brutal. I'd wake up at 5 in the morning to study before my 8 a.m. class. Classes until noon, then work from 1 to 9, sometimes 10, if someone called in sick. Get home around 10:30 if the bus connections worked out, 11 or later if they didn't. Do homework until 1 or 2 in the morning. Sleep for 4 or 5 hours. Repeat. Weekends were worse. I'd work double shifts on Saturday and Sunday, sometimes 16 hours straight. I'd bring textbooks and study during my breaks. I wrote entire papers on my phone while standing at my register during slow periods. I took tests with my eyes burning from exhaustion and my feet aching from standing all day. I took out minimal student loans because I was terrified of debt. Watched too many people get crushed by student loan payments. So I worked myself to the bone to avoid that fate. Every spare dollar went either toward tuition or into savings. I had a spreadsheet tracking every expense. I knew exactly how much I could spend on food each week, usually about 30 bucks. That's roughly $4 per day if you're doing the math. My apartment was a studio that was maybe 300 square feet. The heat barely worked in winter. The air conditioning didn't work at all in summer. But it was mine. Nobody could tell me I had to pay rent while my sibling lived free. Nobody could lecture me about earning my way while handing someone else everything. My parents never offered to help. Not with tuition, not with rent, not with anything. And honestly, after the car situation, I didn't want their help anyway. It would have come with strings attached, lectures about responsibility and earning my way, while Kelsey got handouts wrapped in praise. Meanwhile, Kelsey was living her best life. She went to a state university on my parents' dime. They covered her tuition, room and board, food, textbooks, everything. She joined a sorority, went to parties every weekend, posted pictures of spring break trips and concert tickets and shopping hauls. When I pointed out the financial disparity once during a particularly frustrating family dinner, my mom got defensive. "We're helping Kelsey because she's focusing on school," she said. "You chose to work and go to community college. That's your path. I chose it because it was my only option. But sure, Mom, let's call it a choice." By the time I was 23, I'd graduated with my bachelor's degree in business management. No debt, no help from my family, just 4 years of grinding it out while watching my parents fund Kelsey's extended adolescence. I got a job at a regional accounting firm, started at the bottom as a staff accountant. The pay wasn't amazing, but it was stable, and it had room for growth. I kept living simply, kept saving, kept my head down, and worked. Kelsey graduated a year later. My parents threw her a massive graduation party, rented out a whole restaurant, invited everyone they knew. She got a Pandora bracelet, gift cards, cash, the works. When I graduated, I got a card in the mail with 50 bucks in it and "Congratulations on your achievement," written in my mom's handwriting. No party, no celebration. They said it was because I'd made it clear I was independent and didn't need their validation. Funny how my independence was only worth celebrating when it meant they didn't have to spend money on me. After college, Kelsey moved back home. Rent-free, obviously. She was figuring out her path and exploring her options, which apparently meant working part-time at a boutique while my parents covered all her expenses, and she tried to become an influencer or some nonsense. I was living in a one-bedroom apartment by then, still modest but nicer than the studio. I'd gotten a promotion to senior accountant. I was building my career, building my savings, building a life that had nothing to do with them. The family group chat was a constant reminder of the divide. My mom would send pictures of meals she made for Kelsey. My dad would share articles about career advice for young professionals and tag Kelsey. My achievements at work got a thumbs up emoji if I was lucky. I stopped sharing my wins in the group chat, started responding less and less. They didn't notice or didn't care. Then, about 2 years ago, things started to shift. I got a promotion to accounting manager at a different firm. Better pay, better benefits, actual career trajectory. I bought a condo. Not huge, not fancy, but it was mine. My name on the deed, my mortgage, my adulting win. I posted a picture of the keys on social media because I was proud of myself. My parents didn't comment. Kelsey sent me a message saying nice with a thumbs up. Meanwhile, Kelsey's influencer dreams weren't exactly panning out. Turns out posting pretty pictures doesn't pay bills unless you have actual followers and engagement. Her part-time boutique job wasn't cutting it either, but she had a solution. She started shopping. A lot. New clothes for photo shoots, professional camera equipment, ring lights, backdrops, a new laptop because her old one was too slow for editing. And of course, she needed to maintain appearances, which meant regular hair appointments, nails, lashes, the works. My parents funded it all. They called it investing in her future and supporting her dreams. Never mind that her dreams were costing them thousands of dollars a month with zero return. I stayed in my lane, focused on my career, dated occasionally, went to the gym, lived my quiet, stable life, no drama, no debt, no dependence on anyone else. Then the calls started. First from my mom. Could I loan Kelsey $2,000? Just temporarily. She had some unexpected expenses. I said no. Then my dad called. Same request, different approach. He tried the family loyalty angle. We help each other out. I reminded him that nobody helped me out when I was eating ramen for dinner 4 nights a week. Still no. Then Kelsey herself called, crying about how she was in a tough spot And I was her big brother, and couldn't I just help her this once? I asked what the money was for. She said she'd maxed out her credit card and needed to make a payment. I asked what she'd bought. She got defensive and said it wasn't my business. I said no. The calls stopped for a while. I figured maybe they'd found another solution. Maybe Kelsey had finally gotten a full-time job. Maybe my parents had used their own money for once. Nope. 6 months ago, I got a text from my mom. Family emergency. We need to talk. Can you come to dinner this weekend? I almost didn't go. The last few times they'd pulled the family card, it had been to ask me for money, or to guilt me about not being around more. But something in the text felt different, more urgent. I showed up Saturday evening. My dad answered the door, and he looked older than I remembered. Tired, stressed. We sat down to another family dinner. No pot roast this time. Just Chinese takeout spread across the table. Another bad sign. Kelsey was there, looking subdued. No phone in her hand for once. No chattering about her latest photo shoot or whatever drama was happening in her friend group. We ate in uncomfortable silence for the first few minutes. Finally, my dad put down his fork. We need to discuss some family financial matters, he said, using his serious business voice. I waited. Your mother and I have been supporting Kelsey for the past few years while she gets established. We thought it was the right thing to do, giving her a foundation to build on. I bit my tongue and nodded. But the situation has gotten out of hand, my mom jumped in. She looked at Kelsey, who was staring at her plate. Kelsey has accumulated significant credit card debt, and car payments, and $65,000, my dad said flatly. She owes $65,000 across 5 credit cards, a car loan that's underwater, and a personal loan from the bank. I nearly choked on my Kung Pao chicken. How? I managed to ask. Turned out it wasn't just the influencer equipment. Kelsey had been living way beyond her means for years. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, weekend trips, concert tickets, all of it on credit because she figured she'd pay it back when her social media career took off. Spoiler alert, it didn't take off. She had 2,000 Instagram followers, most of them bots, 0 sponsorships, 0 income from content, just debt on top of debt on top of debt. We've been helping her with minimum payments, my mom said, but we can't anymore. We've drained our savings. We had to take out a second mortgage on the house. This keeps getting better. We were hoping, my dad started, and I already knew where this was going. We were hoping you might be able to help, maybe take over some of the credit card payments for a while, just until Kelsey gets back on her feet. I sat back in my chair and looked at the 3 of them. My parents, who'd given Kelsey everything and given me lectures. Kelsey, who'd squandered every advantage while I'd scraped by. All of them looking at me like I was their backup plan, their ATM, their solution to a problem they'd created. The entitlement was stunning. They'd watched me struggle for years and done nothing, never offered help, never acknowledged the inequality, never even seemed to care. But now that they needed something from me, suddenly we were family. Suddenly I was supposed to step up. I thought about all those nights eating ramen in my cramped studio apartment. All those double shifts where my feet hurt so bad I could barely walk. All those times I had to choose between buying groceries or buying textbooks. All those moments of exhaustion and stress and fear about money. I thought about coming home for Christmas and watching Kelsey open expensive gifts while I got socks. About seeing her spring break vacation photos while I worked overtime. About her complaining that her parents didn't understand her, while my parents didn't even bother trying to understand me. And now they wanted me to save her from consequences she'd earned. No, I said simply. My mom's face fell. Please, just hear us out. We're family. We need to help each other. Family helps each other, I repeated slowly. Where was the family help when I was working 40 hours a week and going to school full-time? Where was the family help when I was living on ramen and generic brand everything? Where was the family help when I bought my condo? Oh, right, there was none. Because I needed to earn my way. That was different, my dad said. How? You were capable. You didn't need help. Kelsey needs help. Kelsey needs to learn the same lessons you taught me, I said. About earning your way. About responsibility. About not having everything handed to you. Kelsey started crying. I made mistakes. I get it. But I'm your sister. Don't you care about me at all? I care enough to not enable you, I replied. You dug yourself into this hole. You need to dig yourself out. I stood up to leave. Wait, my mom pleaded. We're asking you for help. Doesn't that mean anything? It means you finally run out of other options, I said. And you remembered you have another kid. The one you gave a bus pass to while buying Kelsey a car. The one you told to figure it out on his own. Well, I figured it out. And the lesson I learned was not to bail out people who wouldn't have done the same for me. I grabbed my jacket. If you walk out that door without helping your sister, don't bother coming back, my dad said, trying the authority card one last time. I turned and looked at him. I haven't bothered coming back in years, Dad. You just never noticed. I left. The texts started immediately. Mom saying I was being cruel. Dad saying I was selfish. Kelsey begging me to reconsider. I blocked all three of them. 2 weeks later, I got a Facebook message from my aunt, my mom's sister. She'd heard about the situation and wanted to know my side. I gave her the abbreviated version. Her response, "About time you stood up for yourself. Your parents created this monster. Let them deal with it." Turned out I wasn't the only family member who'd noticed the favoritism over the years. My aunt had apparently tried to talk to my mom about it multiple times. My mom always dismissed it as aunt being jealous or not understanding parenting. Through my aunt, I learned what happened after I left that dinner. My parents tried to negotiate with Kelsey's creditors for lower interest rates. Didn't work. They tried to consolidate her debt. Didn't qualify because their credit was already damaged from the second mortgage. Kelsey had to sell the Camry they'd bought her. It was worth less than what she owed on it, so they had to cover the difference. She's driving some beat-up sedan from the early 2000s now. No more silver car with custom seat covers. She got a full-time job at a call center. Hates it. Has to work it anyway because minimum payments on $65,000 of debt don't pay themselves. My parents had to cancel their cable, cut back on groceries. Dad picked up weekend shifts at Home Depot to help cover their mortgage payments. Mom started couponing. They're experiencing the financial stress I lived with for years. The constant calculation of whether you can afford something. The fear of unexpected expenses. The reality of living within your means. And according to my aunt, they're miserable. Good. 3 months after the dinner, I got an email from my mom. Not a text. An actual email. Long and rambling. It started with an apology. Sort of. She was sorry that I felt hurt by their choices. Sorry that I misunderstood their intentions. Sorry that I couldn't see they were just doing what they thought was best. Notice the pattern? She was sorry for my feelings and interpretations, not for their actions. She went on to explain that Kelsey was struggling with the debt and the job and the reality of adult life. She painted my sister as the victim of circumstances, of predatory credit card companies, of the influencer culture that made young people feel they needed to spend money to succeed. No mention of personal responsibility. No acknowledgement that Kelsey made bad choices. Just excuses wrapped in maternal concern. Then came the real purpose of the email. She asked if I'd reconsider helping. Not with money directly. She'd learned that asking for cash wouldn't work. Instead, she wanted me to let Kelsey move into my condo temporarily. Just for 6 months or so. It would save Kelsey rent money that could go toward debt payments. I read that email 3 times, trying to find any acknowledgement of the hypocrisy. Any recognition that they were asking me to sacrifice for Kelsey again after a lifetime of the same pattern. Found nothing. I wrote back one sentence. Kelsey earned her way into this situation. She can earn her way out. Sent. The emails stopped after that. Life went on. I got another promotion at work. Started seeing someone seriously. Took a vacation to Colorado. Lived my life completely separate from my family drama. Then, about 2 months ago, something unexpected happened. Kelsey reached out. Not through my parents. Not asking for money. Just a simple text. Can we talk? Just the two of us? I debated ignoring it. But curiosity got the better of me. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our places. Neutral ground. She looked different. Older. Tired. Her hair was in a simple ponytail instead of the elaborate styles she used to post on Instagram. No makeup. Wearing jeans and a plain t-shirt instead of whatever trendy outfit used to be her uniform. Thanks for meeting me, she said, sitting down across from me. I nodded, waiting. I'm not here to ask for money, she started. Or help with my debt. Or anything like that. I just wanted to talk. Okay? She took a breath. I've been thinking a lot about everything. About how I got here. About the choices I made. About how differently we were treated growing up. This was new. I was the favorite, she continued. I know that. I always knew that. Even when I pretended I didn't. And I took advantage of it. I assumed mom and dad would always bail me out. Always make excuses for me. Always choose me over you. I stayed quiet. Working at the call center has been awful, she admitted. The worst job I've ever had. People yell at me all day. The pay is terrible. I come home exhausted and stressed and I still can't make a real dent in this debt. Welcome to being an adult, I said, not unkindly. Yeah, she laughed bitterly. I get it now. What you went through. Working those long shifts at the grocery store while going to school. Living on nothing. And Mom and Dad just didn't care. They told you it was character building while handing me everything. What changed? I asked. Why are you seeing this now? She was quiet for a moment. I ran into your old manager from the grocery store. Remember Tom? He saw me struggling to decide between two items because I could only afford one. He recognized me and asked how you were doing. Started telling me stories about how you used to work doubles and still show up early. How you never complained. How you saved every penny. She looked down at her coffee. Then he asked how my car was running. I told him I had to sell it. And he got this look on his face and said, "That's a shame. Your brother never even got one. But he figured it out anyway." And that bothered you? It made me realize that everyone saw it except me. Everyone knew you got screwed over. And I just went along with it. Took everything they gave me and never questioned why you were getting nothing. I didn't know what to say to that. I'm not asking you to forgive me, Kelsey continued, or to help me. I just wanted you to know that I get it now. I understand why you cut us off, and I'm sorry. Actually sorry, not the sorry you feel that way nonsense Mom pulls. We talked for another hour. About her job. About my work. About life. It wasn't deep or emotional. Just two people who happened to be related, having a conversation. When we were leaving, she said one more thing. Mom and Dad keep asking me to convince you to come back to family dinners. I told them I wouldn't do that. You don't owe us anything. You especially don't owe me anything. You earned your way out of that mess. I'm still earning my way through mine. I appreciated that. More than she probably knew. We parted ways. No promises to stay in touch. No grand reconciliation. Just an acknowledgement of reality. I haven't heard from her since. No texts. No calls. She's respected the boundary, which is more than my parents ever did. Speaking of my parents, they finally stopped reaching out about 3 weeks ago. The last message was from my dad, saying that they respected my decision to separate from the family, but that they'd always be there if I changed my mind. They'll be waiting a long time, because here's what they never understood. I didn't separate from the family. They separated me from it years ago. Every time they chose Kelsey. Every time they made excuses for the inequality. Every time they told me to earn my way while handing her everything. They created the distance. I just finally acknowledged it existed. My life now is quiet, stable, drama-free. I have good friends, a good relationship, a career I'm proud of, a home I own, financial security, everything I built myself, everything I earned. You know what I don't have? A relationship with people who only valued me when they needed something from me. And I'm completely okay with that. Kelsey got a car for her 16th birthday. I got a bus pass and a lecture about earning my way. So I earned my way, right out of their lives. She can't drive herself out of debt now, but that's not my problem to solve. I've got my own road ahead. And unlike her, I actually know how to navigate it myself. Update, 3 months later. Hey Reddit, got some requests for an update, so here we go. Life's been good. Really good, actually. I got engaged last month. She knows the whole family situation and fully supports the boundaries I've set. Her family has basically adopted me, which is weird but nice. Her dad asked me about my parents once, and when I explained the situation, he just said, "Their loss," and taught me how to smoke a brisket. Best future father-in-law ever. Work promoted me again. Director of accounting now. The salary increase means I paid off my condo early and started investing more aggressively. Financial stability is a hell of a drug when you've spent years stressed about money. Kelsey and I have texted a few times. Nothing deep, just occasional check-ins. She's still at the call center, but picked up a weekend bartending job for extra cash. Said she'll be paying off her debt for years, but she's actually making progress now. She didn't ask me for help or money, just told me she was handling it. I respect that. My parents, though, that's where it gets interesting. 2 months ago, they showed up at my condo, unannounced, on a Sunday morning. I opened the door to find both of them standing there looking awkward as hell. My dad was holding a bakery box. My mom had flowers. "We need to talk," my dad said. I almost closed the door, but my fiancée was there, and she gave me this look that said, "At least hear them out." So I did. We sat in my living room, them on one couch, us on the other. Super comfortable. My mom started crying immediately. Not the manipulative tears from before. These seemed genuine, tired. "We messed up," she said. "We know we did. We've been talking to a counselor." "I thought we didn't believe in that," I interrupted. They'd always dismissed the idea when I suggested it years ago. "We didn't," my dad admitted. "But your aunt convinced us to try it. And the counselor helped us see a lot of things we'd been avoiding." They went on to explain how they'd been going to sessions for the past 2 months. how the counselor had them examine their parenting choices, how they'd come to realize the extent of the favoritism and inequality. We treated you unfairly, my mom said. Not just with the car, with everything. You worked so hard and we barely acknowledged it. We made you pay your own way while funding Kelsey's lifestyle. We asked you to sacrifice while never asking her to do the same. We know an apology can't fix years of damage, my dad added. But we're sorry. Genuinely sorry. Not sorry you feel hurt. Sorry we hurt you. I sat there processing. This was what I'd wanted to hear for years. But now that I was hearing it, I didn't feel the satisfaction I'd imagined. What changed? I asked. Why now? After years of defending your choices? My dad looked uncomfortable. We had to take out a third mortgage. We're probably going to lose the house anyway. We're both working extra jobs just to keep up with payments. And we realized, this is what we put you through. This stress, this fear, this constant worry about money. Except you were doing it at 18 while going to school. And we acted like it was building character instead of recognizing it was just us failing you. The counselor asked us what we thought you learned from our treatment, my mom said. We said responsibility and independence. She pointed out that you actually learned you couldn't depend on us, that you weren't as important as your sister, that our love was conditional on you not needing anything from us. My fiancé squeezed my hand. She was right, my mom continued. And we're sorry. We're so sorry. They asked if we could start over, not go back to family dinners and pretend everything was fine, but maybe rebuild something new, slowly. I told them I'd think about it. They left the bakery box. My favorite muffins from a place near my old apartment that I'd mentioned once years ago. The fact that they remembered surprised me. After they left, my fiancé asked what I wanted to do. Honest answer? I don't know yet. Part of me wants to tell them it's too late, that they don't get to show up after years of neglect and expect me to welcome them back just because they finally got it. But another part of me, a smaller part, wonders if people can actually change, if their apology was genuine, if the counseling actually helped them see what they'd done. I'm not ready to make a decision yet. My fiancé says I don't have to, that I can take all the time I need or never reconcile at all if I don't want to. For now, I'm focused on my own life, my wedding planning, my career, my future. Whether that future includes my parents remains to be seen. But here's what I know for sure. I'll never go back to being the kid who accepted scraps while watching his sister get everything. I'll never again sacrifice my well-being for people who wouldn't do the same for me. If they want a relationship with me, it'll be on my terms. Equal terms. Not the conditional love they offered for 28 years. I earned my way out of their lives. If they want back in, they'll have to earn their way too. Seems only fair, right? Final update. 6 months after last update. Hey Reddit. Final update here, I think. I got married 3 months ago. Small ceremony, just close friends and my fiancé's family. I didn't invite my parents or Kelsey. Not out of spite. I just wanted a day that was about us, not about family drama. My parents sent a card and a check. I cashed the check and put it toward our honeymoon. Figured I'd earned it after years of getting nothing. After the wedding, I did start meeting my parents for coffee once a month. Neutral location. 1 hour max. Strict boundaries. The first few meetings were awkward as hell. Lots of silence. Lots of careful conversation about nothing important. Weather. Sports. Safe topics. But gradually, something shifted. They started asking about my life in a way that felt genuine. About my work, my wife, my plans. Not comparing it to Kelsey. Not using it as a segue to ask for something. Just asking. They told me about selling the house. They downsized to a small condo. It hurt them, losing the home we grew up in. But they admitted it was necessary. They're working on getting their finances stable. Learning to live within their means. They don't make excuses for Kelsey anymore. When I ask how she's doing, they give me straight answers. She's still working the call center job, still bartending on weekends, making slow but steady progress on her debt, dating a guy who's apparently also working through financial mistakes. They sound good together. Two people who've learned hard lessons. My mom asked if she could come to one of my wife's family dinners. I said no, but less harshly than I would have a year ago. I explained that I've built a new family dynamic that works for me, and I'm not ready to merge the old and new yet. Maybe someday. She said she understood. Didn't push. That was progress. Last month, my dad sent me a text. It was a photo of my old report cards from high school. He'd kept them all. I'm sorry I never celebrated these the way I should have, the message said. You were remarkable. I was too blind to see it. I didn't respond right away. Took me 3 days to figure out what to say. Finally texted back, I turned out okay anyway. His response, you turned out better than okay. Despite us, not because of us. That's on you. Be proud. We're not fixed. We might never be fully fixed. Too much damage, too many years of inequality and favoritism and conditional love. But we're talking. On my terms. At my pace. With boundaries that I enforce and they actually respect now. Kelsey and I have coffee every few months. She updates me on her debt progress. I tell her about work stuff. We don't talk about our childhood much. Too painful for both of us in different ways. But we're civil. Sometimes even friendly. She's not the entitled princess anymore. She's just a woman working her way out of a hole she dug for herself. I respect the effort, even if I don't forget how we got here. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.